Multiple signs point to the Toronto Raptors drafting a player that could be the next Scottie Barnes, as Masai Ujiri has brought in a ton of players ahead of the NBA draft to scout in for workouts, and Jonathan Mogbo is a part of that contingent, and he is a guy that has a prior relationship with the Toronto Raptors star Scottie Barnes. You can see in the bottom left corner, Scottie and Jonathan there, playing some games, streaming together, and basically he fits the exact profile, someone that Masai Ujiri would draft in terms of frame, size, and just the overall prospects. Masai Ujiri, Bobby Webster publicly spoken about how they're interested in selecting. So we're going to break down why the signs are pointing to Jonathan Mogbo getting drafted by the Toronto Raptors, what impact he could have on the team, and whether or not it makes sense for the Raptors to select him, particularly with the number 31 overall selection. So who is this guy that is coming out here? Well, basically, Scouting Reports NBA Draft Express has done a deep dive in terms of who he is as a basketball player. Mogbo is one of the more unique stories in college basketball. He told ESPN he was 5'9" and 125 pounds, combo guard entering school with 0 Division I offers when he graduated, sending him to the junior college route at 6'7" and 180 pounds. So he had a massive growth spurt. At that point, he transferred from Independence Community College in Kansas to Northeastern Oklahoma A&M to Missouri State before eventually landing at the University of San Francisco in the WCC this summer, where he now stands at 6'8", 225 pounds. So that's pretty crazy sort of physical development there. Entering college, 120 pounds and then becoming 6'8", had gained 100 pounds at that point. So again, he's currently 22 years old, but in terms of development, in terms of growth, he's a late bloomer, so to speak. So he's going to be, his age, I wouldn't factor that into consideration more than maybe some NBA scouts are. And basically in terms of his game, Mogbo's combination of mobility and explosiveness and intensity gives him a great framework to build off of. He's also had some impressive moments as a passer, thanks to guard skills he has retained from high school. USF runs a good amount of the offense through him on the perimeter, where he shows intriguing ability out of the dribble handoffs and in short rolls. So despite the fact he's currently a big man, despite the fact, he currently has that size, Mogbo he's a dude that still has that guard skills, given his growth spurt. Similar stories what we heard with current Toronto Raptor Kelly Olynyk, who maintained his guard skills after hitting his growth spurts. And superstar caliber players, Anthony Davis had a similar sort of growth trajectory. Again, these happened a little bit earlier. Mogbo is much more of a late bloomer than those types of guys. But man, that's a crazy development. He has the size, he has the frame, and the passing ability at the forward spot, which has drawn some comparisons to Scottie Barnes. We'll discuss those comparisons after. But again, he's not going to be available in the second round for other reasons, because basically he was not blessed with elite size or bulk for a big man and not showing much shooting range at this stage in his NBA career, but has improved his free throw percentage from 47% last season to 72% this year when this article was written. It was written kind of midway through the scouting season. But while Mogbo plays with a great deal of energy, his technique and discipline defensively have looked questionable at times, and especially on the perimeter. He has another year of eligibility at his disposal and a little more upside than your average 22-year-old. So again, a guy that sort of just came into that frame, coming in with that sort of size and stuff. It makes sense that he might not be super disciplined playing in his body just yet, but he has been scouted by the Toronto Raptors. There's a giant list of players that we brought in to take a look at, come in for draft interviews, and you can see it there. He's projected to go number 46 overall in this year's NBA draft, but Jonathan Mogbo, you can see it the second last on this list in terms of players that have officially been brought in by the Toronto Raptors to scout, to have a private workout with. Again, this is not the only list. There's a ton of other undrafted guys on this list as well, and not every name is getting leaked to the public on top of it, so maybe there's some other players, around that 31 selection that, the Raptors could also be looking at in competition with Jonathan Mogbo, but, basically looking at it here, right, Cam Spencer's another interesting, Dylan Jones, Jalen Tyson, we've discussed those previously. Khalil Ware, if he definitely falls to 31, obviously he might end up getting selected at 19 by the Raptors. We'll see how all that shakes out, but Jonathan Mogbo also has a relationship with the Toronto Raptors star. I brought it up in the intro. You can see him. He knows Scottie Barnes. They had an overlap in terms of, I believe, high school play, and he's doing some streaming with Scottie Barnes as well here now at this point. So basically, he has a relationship with Scottie Barnes. He's sort of a versatile 6'8" wing that, is kind of raw, has a ton of potential. And Bobby Webster and Masai Ujiri have discussed how they want to bring in players that fit that Scottie Barnes timeline. Not necessarily raw 18-year-old, 19-year-old prospects. Again, they're going to draft the best players available, so I don't think they're going to be hands-off on any of those types of dudes, but players that kind of fit the RJ Barrett, Immanuel Quickley, Scottie Barnes age, growth, development stage. I think those are going to be guys that are going to be attractive to Masai Ujiri, Bobby Webster, especially with that number 31 overall selection. And we could take a look at his stats as well. And basically his full frame, he's 6'7.5", 6'8", 217 pounds. These are the draft combine stats, so how it's officially sort of adjusted. 22 and a half years old, so not young by any means for a draft prospect. Again, it's crazy. These guys are younger than me now at this point. But, mock drafts had him at 49th, according to NBA Tankathon and stuff. But his stats last season, he has a 38-inch vertical, 7'2" wingspan, which is encouraging. Doesn't have those T-Rex arms or anything like that. But, 14 points per game, 10 rebounds hustling, and 4 assists, which is a huge positive. Again, doesn't take many three-point shots, which I know is going to discourage a lot of Raptors fans. But as we see, the jump shot did improve, right? Not necessarily from the three-point arc, but going from 43% to 70% from free throw is a significant improvement and signals this guy is willing to work, willing to develop. He went from 8 points to 14 points per game out there in college. He was a solid defender, even if he's not disciplined, according to some scouting reports. And the hustle and the intensity, getting 10 rebounds a game at 6'8" is a huge, huge positive, is a huge, huge plus for a prospect that is coming in. So, again, his scouting report says this dude is a big man that's athletic, that has a sort of, intensity that he plays with, but also, gets boards and can facilitate at that forward position. It's kind of a similar scouting report to a Scottie Barnes light coming in. And even though, he's a little bit older, certainly than Scottie Barnes was, he's projected to be a second-round pick rather than, a top 4 selection like Scottie was. But basically has all those intangibles. The question marks about the shooting are my concerns are a little bit offset given how much he improved from the free throw line, which is positive, but having forwards that can pass, can facilitate, especially at the number 31 overall selection, I wouldn't mind this pick. Even if it's a little bit of a reach here now at this point, because he's projected to go 45th, 46th and stuff. Again, depends who's on the board as well. If there's some guys fall into that 31 selection, I mean, that's a valuable pick as we discussed in yesterday's video, right? If he's a dude that is available, could be brought in, I would not be disappointed even if the sole reason, he's buddies with Scottie Barnes, get some more streams, get some more action there, some more memes on this roster, right? I would not be disappointed if this selection ended up going down. But as we know, as Dan Tolzman sort of broke down in a recent interview, this draft selection, this draft year is such a confusing thing to analyze, to take a look at, frankly, because we don't know what these players are going to amount to. The scouting reports on these guys are all over the place. So some players might fall to extreme lengths and might not be available to where you're going to select them, and then some guys might jump. It's going to be a weird NBA draft, but I am all here for it. The Raptors select 19th and 31st overall in this year's NBA draft, so we're going to be covering both nights NBA draft on this channel. But you guys, the best thing is to subscribe to this channel if you guys haven't already. If you enjoyed it, if you made it this far, hit the subscribe button. It means the world to me. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.